Hey, what are y'all up to? How are our people? At the end of this video, I've got a pretty it's not a big announcement, but I want to share with you something about the channel and some different things that I'm doing on other platforms. If you'll listen to the end, after the second story, I'll get into it. It won't take long. But right now, I've got two cryptid stories I think you're going to love. All right, here we go. This isn't a Bigfoot story. It's more like a mutant dog man story or something. I'm not sure what this thing is, but this is a great story. It's an old story from the 1930s. The writer's name is Tim. He lives in Alabama. He said it was okay to use his name. I've had this story since last March, and I want to share it with you. It's really good. He writes, I really enjoy your to-the-point stories that people submit. It's also good to listen to what actually took place with someone and not have to go through all the scientific opinions of the so-called experts and the other BS that comes along with these types of stories. Brother, you got that right. Man, some of these people, nothing against other YouTubers at all. There's just some of this stuff I just can't listen to. It's too tedious and too braggadocious, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. Everybody has their own thing. I kind of like the guys that are humble, like Mark Newble and Larry Porch over at Sawdust Beast. Those guys, they're just humble. They're nice. But anyway, I digress. He writes, I've had some experiences of my own, but I would first like to share something my granddad experienced. I've never heard anything like it from anyone else. This happened to my grandfather in Alabama in the 1930s. My granddad was about 32 years old. These events happened near Cullman, Alabama. People were experiencing some of their livestock missing. There was some kind of animal getting their livestock, leaving tracks the size of a wolf that only had 3 toes. One night, a local fellow was trying to track it down. He found a trail this thing frequented and took his dogs out to track it. Not having any luck, he stopped and took a break and made camp for the evening. A bit later in the night, this thing approached his camp. His dogs went berserk and ran into the brush after it. The dogs tore into whatever this thing was, but from the sound of it, the dogs were getting whipped. He called his dogs out of the brush and he shot into the brush to try to kill the thing. Apparently he missed it and he heard it run off back into the woods. A few days later, this thing was still active and people were still missing chickens and other small animals. The man who had previously hunted the thing got some other men to help dig a pit along the trail where this thing was most active. I do not know how deep the pit was, but it was deep enough that they had to have a ladder to get in and out of it. They placed some chickens in the pit and exited the area, and they waited. The following morning, the trap had worked, and down in the hole was this thing. It was bigger than a large dog. The ears were similar to a dog's, but they flopped over. There were 3 toes on each foot, and it had a snout like a pig. My granddad and all the other men said it was like nothing they had ever seen. He said it could eat corn like a hog, and also it would eat other vegetables as well as meat. That was one thing that stuck out in my granddad's memory, because they knew animals either ate one type of food or the other, not both. After having everyone come and look at what was eating their livestock, they decided it was best to kill it and fill the pit back in. My grandfather passed away in the 1980s, but the story he shared with my brothers and I growing up will always stick with me. I know it's not a Sasquatch story, but I thought you would find it interesting. Tim, I find it very interesting. I think there are strange mutant creatures that roam these woods. I know where we live. I heard somebody the other day talking about, it was actually NPR. Now, can y'all believe I was listening to NPR? I just was clicking through radio stations, and I stopped on it. There was a show about a guy who was doing a 10 or 12 or 15 year photo shoot of this juke joint down around Cleveland, Mississippi, and I thought the topic was interesting. But anyway, that's why I was listening to NPR. But he was saying that every town in Mississippi is rural. It doesn't matter where you go, you're in a rural area. And I got to thinking about that. He's right. You can be living right smack in the middle of the small town that I live in, and within 5 minutes, you're way out in the country. So it's not like there's any huge urban areas in Mississippi. We have Tupelo, we have 2 or 3 towns in the Delta, Vicksburg, Greenville, which is pretty small. And of course we've got Jackson, and then down on the Gulf Coast we've got some larger metropolitan areas. But none of them are huge like Memphis or Atlanta or Birmingham. And so anywhere you go, you're pretty much in a rural area. And there are vast expanses of places that I would almost call wilderness in Mississippi. I mean, especially in the central part of the state, not the north part where I live, not the south part where the Gulf Coast is, but kind of in the middle. There are vast areas of wilderness. And I've heard stories of all kind of strange animals, mutant type, weird looking animals that come out of those woods. So I understand that perfectly. But I don't think this is a cryptid. It might be. I think it's just some weird kind of birth defect, or I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it ate some nuclear waste. Anyway, the story was great. Heck, I've talked longer than the whole story went. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I just thought it was cool. And Tim, I know everyone enjoyed it. Thanks, man. This is a good one. It is a story submitted. Again, this one goes back to March of last spring. I'm just now getting to it, but it's submitted from a man who lives in France. And this is a Russian Yeti encounter. So get ready. Hang on to your wigs. The man writes, I wanted to share my experience via your channel. However, I wasn't so sure since all the experiences that I heard of on your channel happened in North America. But in one of your latest videos, you told the story of an encounter that happened in a Nordic country. So I felt confident enough talking about my experience with you. What I'm going to say is the truth. I have no reason to lie about this. In fact, as soon as I had some free time, I rushed to write this letter. I live in France and I go to a business school. Even though I live in the city, I'm an outdoors person. I did some hiking and camping all over Western Europe as well as the Moroccan Atlas Mountains. I speak 4 languages and I'm learning Russian right now. A few months ago, I decided to practice my Russian by going to Russia and meeting with some friends I have over there. In this group of friends, we all love the outdoors, and one of us runs a little Facebook page where we post wildlife pictures. We decided to go to Vladivostok, I'm going to try to pronounce this, Vladivostok, a city located in Russia's far east, to hike, take pictures of animals, especially the famous Siberian tiger, if we ever had a chance to. Whoa, you were looking forward to running into a Siberian tiger? Dude, you're crazy. I saw a National Geographic special on the Siberian tiger, and there are so few of those left. They're still hunted. They're still hunted today. This group of documentary makers flew into Siberia to find these tigers, and somehow they got one cornered, and it climbed there was a helicopter hovering above the woods, and this tiger climbs a tree and tries to attack a helicopter. I mean, I don't want to be anywhere near an animal that vicious. It wanted to attack a helicopter. Are you hearing me? Dude, stay away from the Siberian tigers. Squirrel, sorry, I got off track there, buddy, but let's get back to your story. We got to the city and we rented a car and drove to a village in the forest far from the city. The little village is inhabited by native Siberian folks as well as white Russians. We set up camp in there for the day and decided to go out at first light. At dawn, we geared up. We packed supplies, radios, and flares in case anything happened, because it is a remote area. We walked for an hour or so. We stumbled upon a group of elk, so we decided to split up. Me and one guy would wait in the back while the other two would go take pictures. We were trying not to spook the wildlife. While the others went to take pictures, me and the other guy would sit there with our friends' backpacks until they came back. It had been about 5 minutes, and I heard a noise, like some branches cracking, about 100 meters to the south. I brushed it off as being a small animal, but then I heard the noise again. This time, I was pretty sure that it was something larger than a small animal. Maybe a big predator was lurking around. I took out my binoculars and aimed in that direction, hoping to identify whatever was up there. I couldn't see anything, but I knew I was looking in the right direction, and then my blood ran cold. I could see a form camouflaged with the snow around it, a big humanoid figure with white fur. Its mouth gave it away. The creature was snow white, but its mouth and lips were black. It opened its eyes, and I was 100% sure that it was looking right at me. I put down the binoculars. My friend saw the fear that was evident on my face. He asked me what I had seen. I didn't want panic to take over, and I intentionally kept my wits about me. I radioed to the other guys to come back ASAP. When they were in shouting distance, I yelled for them to run to the camp as fast as possible, and we all headed that way in a full-out sprint. Later, I explained what I had seen. Of course, they made fun of me. They were a bit upset, saying that I had ruined the whole day because of my crazy imagination. Later in town that day, we told some of the locals about it. They got a laugh at my expense too, but what they told us was that what I had seen was a real creature living in the snowy forest all over Siberia. We were assured that these animals do not get violent with humans. They have families and homes in the woods. After the trip, I started reading about this phenomenon, and apparently these kind of creatures are seen all over the world, from North America to South America, from Russia to China, Vietnam. There are reports from almost everywhere. I never believed in the existence of Bigfoot, the Yeti or Urine or whatever it's called, but now I'm pretty damn sure that these things are out there. And then he signs off. Man, that's a cool story. You know, it's not like the thing was attacking you or anything, but you're looking through binoculars and you see this thing's mouth, and then you see its eyes open. Oh man, that's crazy. And what a great story. What a great story. A Russian Yeti. I'm going to say that that's what they call those, the Yeti. There's another name for them, but it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it now. Russia has a lot of Bigfoot encounter stories. I mean, tons of them. I don't know if Russia gets YouTube. I really don't know. But if any of you comrades over there in Russia get to hear any of this stuff and you understand English, man, send me some Russian encounters. I know everyone would love to hear them. There's that. And to the man who wrote the story, he lives in France. Obviously, he speaks French, but he speaks several other languages. You know, Europeans are good at that. Americans, people in the United States, we're not real good at learning other languages. Heck, we can barely understand each other. I want to commend you on this letter. You did a great job writing this, and obviously English is one of the languages that you've learned and have studied how to write, and you did really good, and I appreciate it. Sorry it took so long to get to your story, but it was really good, and I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right, here's what I wanted to tell you. You know, a couple of videos back, I put just a little short video up explaining that I was going to start putting videos on IGTV, which is Instagram, and Facebook. I'm going to pretty much zero in on Facebook because I have a lot of stories that are short. They're not very long. They just don't fit well in a YouTube format. Some of them are only 6 or 7 sentences long. And I've started sharing those on Facebook. Now, here's the deal. I have tried to find a way to do unique stories that are a little different than the way the stories are a little different, and the way that I present them is a little different. And I considered Patreon, and I just don't like the idea of people paying to hear this stuff when pretty much 90% of the internet is free. So I decided not to do that. Facebook is really they're really pushing their video platform. Matter of fact, after I found out about this, I started kind of browsing around, and really there's some good videos on Facebook. Now, I know some of you guys don't have a Facebook account and you have something against Facebook, and I understand that, but I need a place to do these short stories so that I get everybody's story done and out. And the way I'm doing it, there's no music, there's none of this yakety yakking. As soon as you click on the video, you hear me start telling the encounter story, and there's no fluff to it at all. They're all viewer submitted encounters, every single one of them. And I think the video platform on Facebook is going to be a good place for me to do that. But here's the thing. It really helps me on Facebook if you share my videos across that platform. If you think it's worthy of sharing, just click the share button and share it on your newsfeed or your homepage. And if you're the admin on a larger group or a big page, I would really appreciate it if you would share those videos, because that gets me a few more views, a few more engagements, and at some point maybe I could get monetized on Facebook. Now, it'll never take the place of YouTube. My YouTube channel stays the same, but this is just something I'm adding to the wagon just to spice things up a little bit, namely for me. But I wanted to share that with you guys, and I know that there's going to be some people that enjoy that. I've got about 2,500 followers on Facebook. To get monetized, I think I need to get 10,000, so it's going to take a while. And then I have to have so many view minutes, but it's just another little challenge, another little project for me to do. I'm always looking for something to work out and work on, and this will be a good project over the next few months. Doing the videos the way that I'm doing, I can do them real quick. I can do one at lunch every day. I can narrate it. I can edit the story. I can narrate it. I can do the edit and everything all in about an hour. It takes about 3 or 4 hours to do these YouTube videos, so you kind of see the time difference there. But anyway, I'd appreciate you coming over to Facebook. There's a link in the description below. You can click on, if you have a Facebook account, and like my page, follow the page, and there's also a little button where you can get notifications on videos. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you guys for listening to all that blabber. I guess I'll see you on the next one. You guys are the coolest ever. I really appreciate you. See you next time. Thanks.